Greetings, everyone. It's great to be with you and learning with you today. The presentation today is entitled Meditation in Depth 7. We'll deal with one of the first questions in a series of questions, but it's good to keep in mind that meditation is the key and central practice of spirituality and for the mastery of life. Much progress can be made when meditation is practiced daily. Now, the first question, which will help lead us into a meditation, and then we'll have after the meditation a series of other questions. Is there a parallel between the sevenfold diamond or crystal castle of the soul, spoken of by the illustrious Master Teresa of Avila, and our ascent into the Celestial Sanctum? Now, by the ascent of the Celestial Sanctum is a reference to the Rosicrucian book Liber 777 and our practice of cosmic attunement in the Celestial Sanctum. At the end of this presentation, Karen will post into the chat some resources for you that I'll make reference to during this presentation. But the answer to this question is yes, there is such a parallel. Now, the text that is involved with describing this castle is called the Interior Castle. It's the way the most mature work of the great mystic Teresa of Avila. And the Interior Castle is one of the major mystical works of the Western tradition. It dates from the year 1577. And in that text, Teresa makes reference to there being many rooms or mansions within our soul, just as there are in heaven that the Master Yeshua talked about in the Gospels, and particularly John 14:2, having many rooms or mansions. Indeed, she views the soul as a microcosmic heaven. And let me give you a depiction of this in an artwork and illustration. Here you see an allegorical engraving of the interior castle of Teresa of Avila. You'll notice that there's 7 levels to it. In a way, they're like 7 concentric rings getting closer and closer. And as you pass from the lower of the rooms further and further into the center, you come into where the Master Yeshua was, the Christ principle, and there's the full attunement with the God there. And in these successive rooms that one passes through describes a spiritual life in terms of how we mature and grow as a human being. This is mysticism. By mysticism, we mean the art and science of love, the union with God or union with the universal intelligence, our full maturation as a human being. Now, part of the work that Teresa describes in this interior castle, and this will tie in when we descend into the cosmic, the Celestial Sanctum, is that we can think of our soul as Teresa describes it as an interior microcosmic heaven, and that our purpose is to recover the earthly and celestial paradise of our own soul. And she wrote this text for those she was giving spiritual direction for, particularly the nuns under her guidance. And each nun was thereby to recover this earthly paradise in heaven of her own soul, which we're called to do as well. Indeed, the soul she describes as being made in God's image and likeness. And thus our soul is an interior heaven. And second, through the surrender of the control and direction of one's life to the divine within. Now, the latter entails evaluating every decision we make and the events of our life to be assessed, not from our human construct of time, but from God's perspective in eternity. Now, this is a great progression that the human goes through, and it's for our outer nature needs to work as a co-agent, co-worker, and co-creator with the divine within. And then it has much more greater resources and strength for what can seem at first a very tall order. In terms of the parallel with our ascent into Celestial Sanctum that we're about to do, very influential for the medieval and Renaissance and later mystics were descriptions of the universe by Aristotle and Ptolemy. Here's one such earlier historical depiction. You'll see in here the earth, the place of the earth, air, fire, and water. But there's also 7 heavenly bodies, the moon and the sun, and planets such as Mercury and Venus, and Mars and Jupiter, Saturn on the outside. And then beyond that, you have the starry firmaments of the heavens, the zodiacal signs and constellations and their subtle influences. And we move beyond that, the prima mobile, and ultimately to the kingdom of God, the heavenly realm. You know, it's interesting, very early on in our Rosicrucian studies, we learn about, in a way, there's 2 great studies, the great world outside of us, which is like the alchemical laboratorium, the temple of the divine, the temple of God, but also within us, we have our body as the temple, the holy temple, which mirrors the built temples and the temple of God, which is the cosmos. We also have the inner spiritual world, but they mirror each other through as above, so below, or the law of correspondence. In a way, this depiction here of the universe and of heaven, in a way, is inner depiction of ourselves. And as we rise up into the cosmic and attunement of the cosmic, we apply not only the law of duality, but then the law of unity to have a great sense of oneness, where there's now a continuum of experience, one unified, no longer an inner outer. It's a oneness, not only philosophically, but as a profound experience. Let's put these 2 diagrams together, and we see there's a sevenfold structure here, but also related to these heavenly bodies. And also, as you go more inward, you rise up into the heaven of God. And just as here, you rise up into tune with the divine and be one with the master within, or the Christ principle. Let's apply these things now as we ascend into the heights of Celestial Sanctum. So I invite you now, have a good look at these diagrams, and then in a way you're looking at yourself and the great spiritual path that you're undertaking. These increasing steps of maturity and expansiveness of understanding. The Rosicrucians use the term the master within because our greatest teacher is within us. It's our true nature. And as we mature, it becomes more and more part of our daily living. And by doing meditation regularly, that flows into our life. Now, once you've had a good look at the pictures, I suggest that you sit comfortably in your chair or however you're situated. Have your spine upright. Hands in your laps, palms down. Right angles at your knees, feet flat on the floor, connecting to the temple of the earth, to your holy temple of your body that houses the mighty master within. And close your eyes and take some deep neutral breaths. It's a comfortable, predominantly breathe entirely through your nostrils, because that helps that vital life force from the air come into your body and enrich and purify and help heal it. You can experience it as a wonderfully tingling sensation. Has a wonderful tonic effect for the whole temple that is our body. Just continue to enjoy the gentle rhythms of the breath. Just as the universe is sustained by the great breath of the logos to the words, so we're sustained through our breathing. On earth as it is in heaven. Meditation is a profoundly restorative work. Part of the value of doing it is to get the great rest and soothing that it gives us. Also allows us to connect with the divine within and to transform and transfigure our life far beyond what our outer nature could imagine. We begin our ascent to the heights of the Celestial Sanctum. We'll do a prayer and invocation that's from past Imperator Ralph M. Lewis's book, Sanctuary of Self. chapter 12. I'll give you the reference on this later. With your eyes closed, you may wish to say inwardly with me, may the divine essence of the cosmic cleanse me of all impurities of mind and body, that I may commune with the cathedral of the soul, the celestial sanctum. May my mortal consciousness be so enlightened that any imperfections of my thinking may be revealed to me, and may I be given the power of will to correct them. I humbly petition that I may perceive the fullness of nature and partake thereof, ever consistent with the cosmic good. So be it in truth, so mote it be. Now, using our imagination and our psychic capacity, let's view ourselves rising up from the room where we're situated, right out of the house or dwelling where we are. Look down as you rise up on neighborhood, see the system and order of the streets, matching the heavenly city. Rise up over the city or town or geographic area where you dwell, and continue to accelerate faster and faster. Use great inner spiritual force. When we reach the heights of the celestial sanctum, we'll surrender and attune with the cosmic. Continue up above the geographic area and city you are, and take in the entire state or province where you dwell, and see down below the various weather systems, the great sunlight that's coming through, the hills, the mountains, the prairies, the plains, the rivers, the great bodies of waters, so seas or oceans, whatever applicable to your state or province, and continue to accelerate upward, enjoying the exhilaration of the ascent, and take in the entire country or nation where you dwell, and radiate love and well-being down to all persons and animals and sentient beings there. It's an act of service and feeling of exhilaration as we rise up higher and take in the entire continent where you dwell, and now the entire hemisphere. And as you go faster and faster, see the beautiful blue sphere, jewel of the earth revolving about its axis, and see the great weather systems and oceans, and enjoy the great wonder of it like a child, seeing the earth anew, one's great home and temple, where we learn our important lessons and mission in life. And continue to rise up faster and faster and take in the entire solar system, the great elliptical orbits of the planets. See the great fiery ball of the sun, our local star, and the beautiful rings of Saturn, and the huge planet of Jupiter, and the smaller planets of Mercury, Mars, and Venus. See the great system and order and motion of the planets, and see the moons going about the various planets, such as our moon about our Earth. And then look up and see various other stars beyond our star, the sun, and see various stellar phenomena. There's black holes and quasars, pulsars, and supernovae with tremendous beaming forth of light, like the great light within us in the divine. And see nebula, and continue to pass through myriad stars and black holes that help balance the universe, and start to sense like you're in a place that has great revolving action. The great arms that spiral out from the center of the Milky Way galaxy, our great home. And as you pass up faster and faster beyond myriad stars, start to take in the entire inspiring structure of the Milky Way galaxy with its great spiraling arms. And then as you accelerate even more greatly, way past the speed of light, because we're transcending space and time. We don't have that physical limitation as we use the great inner forces of the divine within us that are our birthright and who we truly are. Go right out from the Milky Way galaxy and look back at its great spiraling action about its center, and see the great arm where our home is in our solar system. And then look up and see many other spiraling galaxies and other galaxies of various shapes and sizes, and the nebula and other stellar phenomena around us, and continue to go faster and faster, continue to accelerate, great, more and more, way beyond the speed of light. And take in more and more the great range of octaves of vibrations and what the Rosicrucians call the cosmic keyboard, where all there's a great sea of vibrations and great system and order throughout the universe. Taking in vibrations and sensing them in a way that goes beyond our 5 physical senses. Enjoy the great rhythm and music, spoken of as the harmony of spheres since ancient times. The most beautiful music of all, next to that of the great divine music at the heart of God. And continue to go faster and faster in this great harmony of the spheres. And as you move quicker and quicker, see not only galaxies, but great clusters of galaxies that astrophysicists and astronomers speak of. And just enjoy the great rhythm and motion and energies and vibrations. So we speed up faster and faster and start to take in a sense of the entire universe and what the Rosicrucians refer to as the cosmic. Cosmic is a universal intelligence back of the cosmos and universe and all the natural and spiritual laws. Start to sense now, just as the Milky Way galaxy revolves about its center and the Earth revolves about its axis and the Earth goes around the sun. Sense that the universe itself is revolving about a great axis that mystics and philosophers have spoken of since antiquity. Sense this stupendous action and motion. It's quite exhilarating, inspiring. Try to sense the presence of that great axis as it revolves about, the universe revolves about it. And when you sense its location, which all the superclusters of galaxies are going around and around, home in on the great center of that cosmic axis. Go faster and faster as you home in on the great center point, the great midpoint of that cosmic axis. You come to it, slow up. As you stop there, look about you to see this stupendous harmony and order. This outward inspiring display inwardly exhilarates us. Now start to visualize, it's described in the book Liber 777, your celestial sanctum. You may wish simply to picture it as the great view that's all around you in the cosmos, at the center of the cosmos. And by the law of correspondence is at the center of your being. You may wish to picture it though as some inspiring scene on earth that you recall. Maybe a sacred grove of trees, a beautiful stream in a wooded glen, or maybe by the banks of a river, or by the lake shore with all the myriad waves coming in, or a high bank overlooking a sea or ocean and see the myriad waves suggesting all the vibrations of the universe. Or you may wish to picture it as the Grand Temple, the Rosicrucians in San Jose, California, or as a Christian cathedral or church, or a Buddhist stupa or assembly hall, or a Sikh Gurdwara, or a Hindu mandir or temple, or some place that's sacred to you. Fill it in all the sights and sounds. It may be very inspiring scents from flowers or from incense. As the incense smoke rises up, it suggests the great elevation that we've rose up to the center of the cosmos, at the center of our being, a celestial sanctum. There may be inspiring stained glass windows with various mystical laws and principles exemplified there, or very inspiring stories of avatars. And sense around you all the others, persons that are a part of this teleconference presentations, and other Rosicrucians and seekers that meet at this great meeting place, the Celestial Sanctum, where we can commune with the divine within and the cosmic consciousness, or the consciousness of the cosmic. There may be a great ceremony going on there by the Imperator of the Rosicrucian Order with the Grand Masters. Great lessons, inspiring conveyances for us. Continue to fill in the sights and the sounds. Make it real. Feel the inner exhilaration of your soul as it becomes more and more real to the outer mind. And once you've filled it in with all the sights and sounds and impressions, surrender and turn inward to the deep peace that's at the center of your being, the center of the universe, in the Celestial Sanctum. Brothers and sorrows and the participants, if you find your mind wandering, just lovingly and gently bring it back to the rhythm of the breath, in tune with the higher octaves of the cosmic keyboard. Just dwell in deep silence with the divine within. If there's impressions that well up from deep within you, maybe answers to important matters in your life, take note of them, but just gently and lovingly return back to the breath. And the deep, still center of your being. Whatever arises in your mind, just take note of it and return back to the deep stillness. Meditation is a profound act of non-avoidance and being liberated, freed up. Truly be ourselves. At one with the one. Now, in a few moments, brothers and sorrows, we'll undertake another special spiritual operation of the work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order Amwork. As we dwell at the center of the cosmos, at the center of our being, spoken of in the 7 rooms or mansions of the interior castle, spoken of by the illustrious Master Mystic Teresa of Avila, but also in the great conceptions of the universe and the heaven surrounding us, just as we rose up in the cosmos into heaven now. Let us partake of the work now of the counsel of solace. We do this through its associated body, the silent council. All those who have petitioned the Grand Lodge of the Rosicrucian Order, the Americas, for health and healing, guidance and upliftment. Let us radiate love and well-being to them now. And to all others who've petitioned our affiliate bodies of the Rosicrucian Order for health and healing, let us radiate love and well-being to them as well now. And all those that you know who are in need, radiate love and well-being to them. And all sentient beings throughout the cosmos who are in need, radiate love and well-being to them from your heart and your mind. Use the divine within that you're in tune with to let that energy flow out from you like a great floodlight, letting its light flow throughout the cosmos. Feel it flow out from you, just like you felt the great exhilaration of the ascent to the heights of the Celestial Sanctum. Now feel the great exhilaration of the flow of love and well-being from deep within you, the divine within, flow out from you to all in need. Just let it happen. I wish to picture it as a great white light beaming out from you at the center of the universe to enlighten the entire universe with health and healing. At first, use conscious effort to allow this flow to continue. But at a certain point, I think you'll find you no longer need to make conscious effort. The flow from deep within through the guidance of the divine within will continue. And when that happens, just let it flow while you dwell at the deep, still center of your being, at the heart of the universe. Continue to surrender to the divine within. We radiate love and well-being to all in need. I will soon formally conclude this work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace. I think you'll find a wonderful tonic and healing effect for yourself, for as you've given, so you've received, by the law of karma and the law of compensation. Without intending this effect, it nevertheless occurs, as cosmic law fulfills for ourselves and for all sentient beings. Now, the Rosicrucians use the phrase, so mote it be, to refer to, so be it in truth. So we'll conclude this period of metaphysical aid, but we'll continue our meditation by saying, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done, so mote it be. Now continue to dwell in a deep silence, surrendering the outer nature to the infinite resources of the divine within, our true nature. Continue to dwell in profound peace. Rosicrucians refer to as peace profound, at one with the one. Our minds merge with the cosmic mind. Now we'll soon begin our descent from the heights of the Celestial Sanctum. Allowing this consciousness of the cosmos, the consciousness of the cosmic, to infuse all that we do. And be our actions an emulation of it. Now you may wish to express your gratitude for this opportunity to be of service to the silent council, to have this opportunity to attune with the cosmic as our birthright and our true nature, and to all those who have loved us and guided us in this life. Express our gratitude and love to them now. Let us begin our descent from the heights of Celestial Sanctum, going at tremendous speed past the superclusters of galaxies and the wonderful system and order of the cosmos. Past myriad stellar phenomena, nebulae, and the pulsars and the quasars, black holes. It's the individual galaxies now. And see way in the distance, the Milky Way galaxy, the great spiraling galaxy, our home. And as you zoom faster and faster towards that galaxy, go right into it on the great arm where we dwell, past myriad stars and the great system and order of it all. See way in the distance, the solar system where we dwell. As we come closer, see the great fiery ball of the sun, our local star, and the beautiful blue jewel of the earth. And then the hemisphere where you dwell, the continent, the great nation or country where you dwell, the province or state. Before we conclude, we can say together, may the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum, so mote it be. And then come down to the geographic area, the city or town where you dwell, the neighborhood, your home or dwelling, the room where you left off, the holy temple of the body, seated. And you're ready Just open your eyes and stretch, rejuvenated, remade, re-enlivened, and regenerated. Now we'll continue with our presentation. The Rosicrucians are very practical, so when we talk about meditation, we do it as well. For in the doing, the greatest understanding will come forth for the outer mind to understand through its faculties. Now, the next question for us to deal with is, can meditation help me to be brave daily? The answer is yes. Meditation calms us, restores us, and unifies our faculties. The unification of our faculties allows us to work more efficiently and capably. And those are faculties in our physical nature, in our physical, emotional nature, our psychic nature, intellectual nature. They all work together. It's analogous to a well-practiced orchestra or team, except the orchestra or team is within us as a unity. These developments within us help strengthen and allow us to face, handle, and even enjoy our daily activities and encounters. The picture before you is of the inspired and deeply spiritual singer and songwriter, Emmeline Michel, who applies the deep spirituality of her Haitian culture and other influences. She says, in regard to meditation, that my way of coping is through prayer and meditation. Meditation has helped me to eradicate the fear of not knowing. It was truly liberating to step into a life with positivity and remember that it is okay to change plans if previous ones didn't work. Now, applied by Emmeline Michel, and behooves us as well, one of the great things about meditation that assists us to be courageous or brave daily in the spirit of knighthood is that it encourages us to live in the present. And in that living in the present, yes, we can review the past and change to a more interpretation of the past, which meditation allows us to do through the more mature contact with our true nature, the divine, and the master within. Also, in living in the present, it allows us to plan for the future with a much improved concentration because it helps unify our different faculties and allows us to relax when the best and true concentration can occur. Also, in meditation being a profound act of non-avoidance, that engenders openness and courage. As simple as that act seems in meditation. Also, in meditation, there's a surrender of the will of the outer self to that of the inner self. When that happens, great well-being, confidence, and enjoyment will come forward from the infinite resources of our true nature, the divine within, to help us to be brave daily. Now, the next question that we'll deal with is, can meditation help us act with great and focused strength when needed? And the short answer is yes. We can apply the unified state of meditation gives us, not only during the meditative practice, but throughout our day, through recollection and reattuning with the Celestial Sanctum. The more we make that a daily practice, the more we can draw it out and it floods into our daily life as a new way of living. We can be guided by our conscience when such powerful action is needed. Such acts are sometimes done as part of martial arts demonstrations, which I know many of you practice and are familiar with. Also, there are such occasions that can arise in emergencies and some other situations where strength, quickness of action, and clarity of mind are needed. In sports, such as illustrated here, highly coordinated explosive actions can be required. For example, the tennis serve, a dive with multiple rotations from a high board, or the triple or quadruple spins that are done in figure skating, or various track and field events, such as the long jump, the shot put, the hammer throw, the discus throw, and the javelin throw, as depicted here. You know, a sport that I have greatly appreciated since childhood is javelin throwing. I like to get up early in the morning during the spring, in the summer and the fall, and I go to a nearby stadium or track and field center to throw javelin. First, there must be a warm-up and various exercises that one does. But after that, we can work up to the all-out explosive throwing. In javelin throwing, one runs with the spear over one's shoulder, not lower down, because you want the speed of the javelin throw to go into your throw, and you don't want the javelin in the way of your as you run. But as you come to the foul line, the javelin must come down to get into a throwing position. And the way that's done is the body turning sideways into crossover steps. And as we see depicted here by the great javelin thrower in Germany, Thomas Roller, as he's about to throw the javelin, his leading foot is faced straight forward in the direction he's throwing. Often it's think that to throw far, it's simply an action having a powerful arm. Yes, that's part of it, but it's only one part of it. There has to be the speed of coordinated action. And then the final explosive throw. This is done so fast, it's even hard to see the throw happen. He'll release that javelin at approximately 100 miles an hour. It will rise up beautifully above the earth and come down about 300 feet later. You see, in the explosive action of javelin throwing, as in many sports, we can learn a lot of life lessons about how to release and how to let go, either with tremendous explosive force or very gently as the situation, as the environment or the interactions entail. We could say, well, what does this have to do with meditation? Well, to be able to do these highly coordinated actions of running with a spear over your head to get into a throwing position and slow up as little as possible, and have the explosive action starting from your feet through the powerful muscles in the back, and then finally the arm in a whip-like action, and to have that all coordinated. The type of mental activity that assists us in doing that is forming habits, yes, and training. But to pull it all together when it needs to be done is through mindfulness meditation, which Thomas Roller practices. He also practices visualization. He sees himself doing this action, which is done extensively in sports. I know one of the psychologists I work with, he works with professional athletes on these very matters. Also to remain calm and concentrated during the sports competition. Also, in the various challenges that come into us, persons involved in sports and the commentary about your work and so forth, to remain calm and not stressed in your daily life. All of these things will help to have this coordinated explosive action. There has to be the coordination, there has to be the balance, there has to be the strength. The mind and the body and the spirit have to be worked. Everything is put into that spear. And when it's thrown well, in a way, it's a spiritualized action. All things in our life can be spiritualized. To see a javelin fly in its great parabolic flight is quite inspiring. It gives us greater sense of what's meant by the spear of destiny and these various spiritual actions we undertake in our life, where we do everything we can, but then we have to let go and see the fruits of our actions from our preparations, living in the now. Even if we're not so involved with sports, though I know many of you are, we can still, as mentioned earlier, apply and recall the meditative state to be able to act calmly and clearly with the degree of focus, strength, and action needed in our daily living. Now, the final question I want to deal with you is, what can I do to deepen my meditation experience? And there's many things that could be said that are helpful in this matter. I'll mention some of them now. There are always ways to deepen our meditation experience. First, in a very basic way, we can ensure that we have a conducive environment that is quiet, comfortable, and inspiring. I know at times that's not be possible, but if we can have that some of the times, that helps us to meditate under situations where there may be people talking, where there's various other background sounds. If we're used to doing it in a very quiet environment, it also builds that foundation to do it in other situations, when we're traveling, when we're at work, or whenever it's needed at a business meeting and so forth. Briefly turn inward, recall that state with the divine within. Now, we can also lengthen the periods of our meditation to allow us to go deeper into the experience of the divine within. We can also meditate more. Now, this contact with the divine during the meditation also then increasingly flows into our daily living as a way of life, into self-mastery, a harmony with ourselves, our environment, and oneness with the God becomes more a way of expressing ourselves and guiding us, following the will of the divine. We can also ensure that we are giving back in service as others have given to us in service, which in turn will deepen our meditation experience, because the divine will within us will respond to us in having the understanding and strength needed for the service. The master within is on the lookout of how we're participating in service and doing well in the world. And he'll give us that added strength for that. There was a Christian adage, is to dare to do, and the strength will be given unto you. When we follow in good conscience, that will come forward, and that'll come deep in our meditation experiences as well. We'll find that meditation is deeply restorative and restful. Psychologists I work with often talk about this with me, and the various studies we've designed of that nature in clinical studies. So it means that if you take more time to meditate, less time for sleep is needed. So that's one way. I know that many of you are very active and can do that. Now, these are some things one can consider to help deepen a meditation experience. One, of course, and this ties in with being a spiritual seeker, if one has a very deep burning desire to achieve, to learn, to come into mastership, not for the self-aggrandizement of oneself, but to be fully oneself and to be of greater service to others, the master within will respond to that and will become more and more identified with the master within, and become more and more at one with it, and truly our nature. So we have covered today some common and not so common questions about meditation. And we've explored the meditative experience, both with our minds, but also the direct experience of it. And in this manner, we have seen more how meditation makes for most direct and sure-wise counsel in our lives, and increases our well-being and capacity for service.